excess items would have spoiled because we had nowhere to put them. What this will do is not just helping our farmers, but it will help our consumers. Because when it is short, what happens to the price? The price goes up. And all of you beat up on the Minister of Agriculture. And then when it is in wonderful supply and the price gone down, all I want to celebrate and the farmers beat up on the Minister of Agriculture. What we're doing with storage is to ensure that we have a consistent supply so that we can moderate the price and have a consistent price right through the year. So this is about transforming our agricultural ecosystem so that one, our farmers will get more consistent return on their investments, and on the other hand, our consumers will always have access to high quality food. This government is about transformation of agriculture. And I think the Prime Minister and the team he leads deserves a big round of applause for not just talking about it, but for getting it done. The other thing that we're doing in this Essex Valley and we're handing over today is an office building. One of the problems that we see in agriculture is oftentimes our farmers have to go to multiple places to interact with the government agencies that deal with agriculture. So they want to find Agro-Invest. They have to find an office, the closest office, which in this instance might be Kingston. They want to find the National Irrigation Commission. They go down to Hounslow. But then if they want to find RADA, they have to go over to Santa Cruz. We are saying, why not put everything in one place? So that when the farmer comes, he can do his business one time. Because in agriculture, time is money. So what we're doing here is creating a hub for our farmers. So you will have the Agro-Invest Corporation, you will have your RADA Extension Officer, you will have your National Irrigation Commission, and we also have put a room for training that you can come and get trained in relation to what is happening in the world with our new methodologies around agriculture. That is how we are approaching agriculture now. And this is just one in a series of facilities. Additionally, as the PS is just telling me, and I don't want you to think we are only thinking about National Irrigation Commission, RADA, and Agro-Invest. Because in order to have a strong agricultural sector, you have to have strong farmers organizations. And we also have an office here for the Benevolent Society of Farmers who will operate from right here. So the farmers will have their own office space so that they can help marshal what is happening. This is just one in a series of cold storage initiatives. We already broke ground for the 123 million cold storage facility in Kirkvine, and Prime Minister, in the first quarter of our new financial year, we will want to have you up there again to open that facility. We are doing the work on Coleyville, and we are lobbying the Prime Minister. And the Prime Minister, let me put it a different way. The Prime Minister has said, I should tell you this part, but when I went back after the election to meet with the Prime Minister said, the Prime Minister is a very hard taskmaster, as you may know. So the Prime Minister said, Floyd, you never did badly, but now is the time, as they say, to run through the tape, to really transform agriculture, to ensure that we are a food secure nation. That is what he has said. And we are determined that one of the things to get that food security is cold storage facilities of this nature. So I'm saying no, and I know the Prime Minister will say more. We are going to move to ensure that in all our productive zones, we have facilities of this nature so that our farmers all over Jamaica will be able to invest and get the returns on their investment, and that our consumers will always have high quality Jamaican food. So today is a good day for all of us. One of the things that was great with this project is that as a part of the construction, we had hard trust trainees, Prime Minister, who worked and were certified, because we are now building out a new cadre of people who can work on agriculture infrastructure. We want to ensure that we have the technical expertise here to build out the infrastructure for our new agriculture that we are outlaying. Two more things. The overall Essex Valley project, we're almost there. And I'm telling you, this project tested the Ministry of Agriculture to the core. We went through a lot of difficult times. And I want you to give the Permanent Secretary a big round of applause. When I became minister, there were some very tough decisions that we had to make, especially in relation to personnel, in relation to ensuring that this project would come to fruition. And having made those decisions, we are here now. And the beauty with us being here now is that this facility would have gone through Hurricane Beryl, it would have gone through Hurricane Melissa, and it is still standing. So this is built to last. So we are about 90% in our Essex Valley overall project. We would have done all the roads, Prime Minister. You can speak to that. We would have completed these facilities. We would have gotten in some of the pumps. We are waiting the final pieces of equipment which are en route to Jamaica. So, Prime Minister, don't get too comfortable, because very soon we will be inviting you to come back. And the next time you come back will be to turn on the water so that the farmers in this area will have irrigation. And let me tell you, we have seen it. We have seen it in Littis. We've seen it in New Forest especially. When you give these farmers the water, they produce. They exceed every expectations. So we had to have this ready first. So when we give you the water, my FAO friend, when we give these farmers the water, you will see our production hit records that they have never gone to before. This is a massive day for agriculture in Jamaica. God bless you.
Thank you, Minister. Transformational, futuristic, sustainable and resilient outlook. Mr. Scully, I don't know what other words you would use to describe the minister's presentation. People-centered also. Yes? Minister, all right, let me not waste any more time. I'm searching for some more words, but we have our keynote presentation coming up. We don't want to delay that, ladies and gentlemen. Our next speaker today is a leader who holds people close to his heart. A man who is committed to building a strong, resilient, and prosperous Jamaica. He is a leader who consistently shows up and goes above and beyond in service to his country. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and join me in welcoming to the platform our Prime Minister, Dr. the Most Honorable Andrew Holness.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, CTD, that's the Chief Technical Director of the Ministry of Agriculture, Mr. Courtney Cole. You will understand if I abbreviate the protocols and say it is good to be amongst family. all nice and decent people. I will start by acknowledging the significant work and contribution of the United Kingdom Development Agency. It's called UK-AID. It is important to start there because when I was a younger member of Parliament and then leader of the opposition, former Prime Minister David Cameron visited Jamaica. Then the only person that was there with me would have been Frank Witter, your member of Parliament. You were a member of Parliament in 2015? No. So then the only person then would be then Minister of National Security, Peter Bunting. He would have been in Parliament then. And you recall what had happened during that momentous visit of former Prime Minister David Cameron. But what most Jamaicans would have forgotten is that when he visited, he made a significant announcement of a $300 million. I heard you say 350 million, but it was a large announcement of a grant program which was called United Kingdom Caribbean Investment Fund. And that would have assisted 8 countries and 1 overseas territory for the United Kingdom in developing important sectors. And this fund was administered and implemented by the Caribbean Development Fund. So in effect, the United Kingdom, in looking at its international aid and in looking at its historic relations with this region, would have decided to make a special provision of funding. That was in 2015, a decade ago. It took a little while for the fund to be stood up, to become operational. But by 2017, projects would have been applied for and work would have started. This project, the Essex Valley Project, was one of them. Now, bear in mind that the Essex Valley Project did not start in 2017. Indeed, this was a project on the books for a very long time before. But it became possible because there was a window of funding. So you will permit me to acknowledge the work and contribution and support of the United Kingdom International Development Funding. And allow me also to acknowledge the support of the CDB in giving the technical and financial and project management support. Now, as projects go in Jamaica, there are many projects because there's just a lot of things to do in Jamaica. And we have a lot of bright people who can develop the projects, write the project proposals. But permit me, if I use this celebratory event, to commiserate that it took us that long, from 2017 till now, to bring a project like this, which was conceptualized maybe 3 decades ago, to fruition. We're here very happy that we're going to have now the ability to stabilize prices by virtue of being able to control excess production, by having the ability to store and repurpose through processing, to give greater certainty to farmers of making a return from their output, and greater certainty to consumers in the price that they face at the market, and an expansion in output by adding greater value to the initial production. We're celebrating this now. But we could have had this 30 years ago, 20 years ago, and we could have had it earlier than now. Almost every project that I officiate at and launch, I must make this point because it has become such an important part of the Jamaican landscape and the challenge that we face as a people. Now, just Friday, I was at another event, conceived a long time, but probably started about the same time as this project, started in 2019. And that is the Bustamante Hospital. It's the facility that allows mothers to be able to stay overnight in support of their children who are being treated at the Bustamante Children's Hospital. Yes, it's a 32-bed facility. It's an amazing facility as I toured it. Project was financed by the NHT, so there is no financial issue. But yet, we were only just a few days ago able to complete and open it. Why? Why? I'm going to be told, as we have been told here and has been mentioned, well, it was impacted by the pandemic. So yes, 2019, 2020, those 2 years in particular, difficult years. It shifted timelines, disrupted supply chain, and therefore had an impact on the ability for projects to be delivered on time. Okay, so let's take 2 years off the project time. Force majeure, nothing we could do. But bear in mind that a similar project was done, financed in Belize from the same UK infrastructure fund, which was to build a coastal highway. That was for 23 or 24 million pounds. This entire project was for 53 million pounds. But they completed theirs in 2023, and it started about the same time or probably a little after ours. The challenge that Jamaica faces is something called excessive bureaucracy. Excessive bureaucracy. And it is almost in our nature to be excessively bureaucratic. Permit me to exemplify this point. My dear CTD came up and he read an extensive list of all who are here. and did an extensive welcome, and then invited the mayor to welcome everyone again. We are going to sit here for an hour and a half or more reading everyone's names to make sure everybody's, who should be acknowledged is acknowledged. 30 minutes or an hour that could be spent doing something else more productive. We stand on ceremony, and if we don't get it done in ceremony, we have disrespected. Because that's the nature of how we do things. But that is inconsistent with the things we want to achieve. So, Jamaica's bureaucracy is a benefit for the country. Let me make that absolutely clear, because I know the chairman of the PAAC is going to say, I am against bureaucracy. For those who don't know, the chairman of the PAAC is MP Bunting, who is here as the MP for an adjoining constituency, who will benefit from this. Now, when we talk of bureaucracy, let it be clear, bureaucracy by itself is not a bad thing. Bureaucracy is not a bad thing. Bureaucracy means a system and a process that administers, governs, and delivers outcomes. That's bureaucracy. And in our system, we have ministries, departments, and agencies. That forms effectively the public bureaucracy. Of course, there are other elements to the bureaucracy. We have oversight bodies, which are commissions and courts. And we have other public-private entities in which form part of the decision-making process. We have a very good social partnership which helps in decision-making. So the bureaucracy could be stretched to be much wider than just government. But when I'm speaking of bureaucracy, I'm essentially speaking of the public bureaucracy, the ministry, the departments, and their agencies and the commissions that exist. Now, without that, the UK would not have felt comfortable to allocate $300 million in a fund and $53 million of that to Jamaica. So our bureaucracy gives confidence to other countries who have bureaucracies as well. The bureaucracies talk to each other. There are standards of accounting, standards of approvals, and it makes it easier for that exchange to happen. Let me stick up in there and say that Jamaica's bureaucracy is solid, if not dense. And it can compare to other bureaucracies all over the world, certainly in terms of the processes that are there. Because for the last 3 decades, we as a country have gone through a process of layering on regulations and new processes and new standards and new requirements. Layering it on so it's thick, it's dense, very sophisticated. But it has become very complicated. And I will make another point regarding the complicated bureaucracy. Much of what we have layered on would have come from the requirements of other countries. In other words, in order for us to interface with international agencies and departments of other partner countries, they say, well, you need to have this in your legislation. You need to have that in your legislation. And we would have taken them on. All the parliamentarians would know that when we were doing the fiscal measures, sometimes it was literal cut and paste. Our job would be to debate them, to say, well, make sure they fit within our context. But by and large, we would have adopted. And so when we stand in the international arena dealing with other countries and other entities, and they are looking in on us, they can say, yes, I see where I can do business with you because you have in your legislation similar to what is in my legislation. So we are strong like that, which leads me to say that the United Kingdom should have no hesitation in providing Jamaica with even more grants for the development of the country, particularly having been hit by Hurricane Melissa. And in truth, I believe the United Kingdom, based upon our historical ties, should look more to supporting countries in the region like Jamaica. And we look forward to exploring that. And indeed, I will come to say more about how we intend to cooperate. Now, the bureaucracy, as I said, is a good thing. Planning and approvals, procurement and contracting, financial control and audit, environmental, land and regulatory clearance, project execution and supervision. All those form part of what we call